Holt was like Sharr's shadow from the very day they met. He would ask constantly about her research on Scaria, trying to lever out any intel he could that would help with his mission for Tetius. Sharr knew less than he presumed, but he was barking up the right tree when it came to theoretically knowing things. Sharr was an academic of sorts, something in perilously short supply on Reticot. Perhaps, as Holt repeatedly insisted, she could save them all if she really put her mind to it. On the 11th or 12th such insistence, Sharr calmly reached a hand down the front of Tokka's dress, pulled out that hulking hand cannon, and pulled the trigger with the barrel in Holt's face. The firing hammer snapped forwards, but the newly tiled floor of the main hall remained relatively clean. "Oh yeah, we're out of bullets," Sharr sighed.
"Trucking. I need some psychite,"
Holt spluttered. He fell to the ground, then was pinned there by Tokka asking after said psychite. In vain. Sharr returned to her new room in the fort, a room with a stave-shaped depression in the comfy chair before the wide desk. Staves had been kicked out to live in an annex beside the barn, but he was quite happy with this, because in his former room that cosmic rod against the wall kept talking to him. Now it was squarely on Sharr's desk, and she was transcribing everything that came through in neat rows of letters. She might have been left to do this in peace and quiet, but Holt was very persistent. The Tet Comfort ate 3 bowls of rice avec rice, then knocked on Sharr's door. "No scaria in here, colonist," Sharr said. Holt let himself in anyway, drawing a fine pointed glare.
"Look, I know you're just slumming it here being a spacer and all, but you have to see that we need your help," he said, bravely approaching the desk. No guns in sight for now. "Scaria's gonna tear this planet up if it gets any worse. You know what they call that here?"
"The roll-up. Yep. And do you know what this is?" Sharr replied, laying a hand on the cosmic rod.
"That from the OPA?"
"Nope, much further than that. It's a colony beacon, fresh from a wave that crashed over pieces. It's still active, and it's picking up the signal to abandon ship." Sharr told Holt about the discovery the Tinderans had made, which she had since confirmed herself. A repeating message in a chosen language warned would-be colonists that their planet was supposed to be undergoing an evacuation. And more importantly, that hidden ships were out there in the wilderness, still waiting for passengers after centuries. "You might think Scaria's real important, but the thing is, I'd rather kill you than miss a chance to get on that ship," Sharr said without a hint of jest.
"But we can't evacuate,"
Holt claimed, but couldn't or wouldn't say why. "Here's how I see it. These Outlanders have brought us a chance, and if we take it, everyone wins here. I just want to get me and my sister home. Looks like the official line from the inner passage is that Scaria's the least concern, and people living on Reticot are probably even lower. This isn't my fight, Tet. Besides, I have no idea if I can help you anyway. But I can help my hosts decode the colony equipment and keep us alive for this evacuation. That extends to you, by the way, if you stop bothering me." Holt stopped bothering her after that, but the whole affair bothered him greatly. He sat and watched as the other colonists made a big wall to enclose the outer fields. It gave the impression that the longer he sat there, the harder it would be to leave, yet he sat there still. It wouldn't be until spring that the mountain pass to Bystone would clear up, but short of kidnapping Sharr, he would be returning empty-handed. And he did consider kidnapping Sharr, for a while, until it clicked that this would cause that strange creature Tokka to hunt him like the killer robots of old. Anyway, it was another quiet winter overall. Boy was getting into this whole underground farming thing, mining soil out from under the snow and then piling it up in the cave Tokka had prepared. Then a big fireball blowwork light was placed on a stand in the middle of this muddy hideaway, and some wild seeds were planted in concentric circles around it. Once the fireball was blown to life, it was blinding to behold. The big ones took a whole lot of blowing, but they got results. The cave became foggy as the soil was cleared of frost. A few days later, the unmistakable green stubble of sprouting herbs filled the cave.
"This isn't farming. This is witchcraft,"
Boy said aghast as he stood in the door to the cave. And I'm the witch, Staves added from behind him.
Wonk, this... You can't tell anyone about this, Boy insisted.
I think they might have found out already, from all the telling I was doing before.
I mean at home. Home, Tindra.
I don't think they'll ask me about it.
Priests will look for any weakness, won't they? Just... We shouldn't have done this.
It's okay, we probably won't see another priest.
What's that?
Since we're trapped here.
We're not trapped here. That Queen of Wonks is going to help us with the Overlord's message. We can leave.
That's not what she told me.
Well, what did she tell you?
That I was too annoying.
Truly the Queen of Wonks. If you weren't so annoying, you'd have yourself a wife there.
I'm not allowed to get married.
Yeah, and I'm not allowed to grow crops inside all bloody winter. Bits knows we're trying to get him at least, but I hope this isn't a mistake.
Do you think I should ask Sharr to marry me?
I really do think you should ask that. Perhaps at dinner later.
Between Sharr's raised eyebrows and Lady's red face, an entertaining dinner was had. But Comareiro was having none of the merriment. He sat in deep thought, staring at his mashed potatoes with strawberries, as if they held the answer to a great mystery. Perhaps they did, because he suddenly stood and walked off.
Must be hard, not getting killed in the apocalypse and all that butter, Toomus noted. Gets your hopes up, then boom, you're still alive. Happens a lot round here.
It was true. Comareiro was having a little difficulty. You see, he was quite sure he was supposed to be dead, and that his state of undeath could actually be causing wider suffering at the hands of the rolling mass. Figurative hands, probably. At least now it wasn't just him. In one of the newly bricked bedrooms sat Kerma, a Tranker captive from his village.
Finally,
Kerma said when Comareiro entered. She stuck out her neck and leant forward.
Not today, Comareiro said, putting a bowl of bejeweled mud nuggets in front of her.
Then when? She spat.
I do not know, but it will be on the same day as me.
You're meant to be dead. Or one of us is at least. You killed the others easy enough.
None of this is easy. We do the bidding of the winds because we are trapped here.
You are trapping me.
Only until you agree to help me.
Killing you would help you.
True. But is there not more we can do, given the deaths we have tunneled past?
Fire tenders think that talking in poetry makes up for their hungry mouths.
No, it doesn't. The world cannot be known as well as to put it into words. Poetry leaves us room to seek more, and if you try, you will always find it. Only by approaching the mass in this way can we know why we are alive.
I'm alive because of you.
No, because here, there are things the mass wants to protect. When you are ready, you will see it all.
Shut up and finish this.
We are finished. I will return tomorrow.
With this, Comareiro departed. Kerma growled at him, then turned her eyes down to the bowl in front of her. Bejeweled mud nuggets, a chieftain's dish. Was it a delicious last meal, or the first of many? Food for thought and throat alike. While pondering and digesting this late into the night, Kerma heard shouting in the hallway.
Get the cosmic people potions!
Boy was shouting.
Staves! Hollow bits!
Lady said. There was a thudding of footsteps. Then Lady opened Kerma's door.
Oh, sorry,
she blurted out, closing it again and slamming the bolt back into the wall. What was all this then? The answer takes us all the way out of the cave and to the long passage that ran between the walled-off fields, the route to the outside world. From the far end of it, a voice boomed.
Toomus, you butternut bank! Get out here and get shot!
Toomus, peering down the passage from the inside end, had to jump back as a bullet split the brick beside his head. He looked back and saw Comareiro dragging Staves into the cave, his shirt soaking up the blood streaming from his chest.
Toomus, don't make me kill everyone! I'm in the hole on the bullet costs already, butter! The voice said.
Sorry, butter, you got the wrong castle, Toomus shouted back, following up with a long burst from his automatic pistol. It was too dark to see if they hit anything, especially after the glare of the muzzle flash pounded Toomus's eyes. A few seconds later, another returned bullet hit him squarely in the chest. That had been bad news for Staves, but Toomus wore a bulletproof plate under his jacket.
this attacker was no doubt even better protected, if it was who Toomus thought it was.
Gotcha, didn't I?
The voice said.
Fair play, you did. Not the kill shot though. And let's be honest, those are some pricey bullets you're putting in me, Toomus shouted back.
Too right, butter. Let's get this one done on a discount then.
The figure sped up the passage with a rifle held at his shoulder. He leapt over a little wooden barricade and kicked the pistol from Toomus's hands.
Good hat,
Toomus said. Up close he could finally see the attacker's tan leather getup and wide-brimmed several-gallon hat.
Cheers, butter,
the man said, swiping the butt of his rifle across Toomus's face. Toomus hit the ground in a daze, not seeing the knife the attacker was drawing from inside his jacket. But just then there was a crash as an axe sparked against the rifle's barrel.
For the wonk!
Boy declared, raising the axe again. The attacker moved forward and blocked the axe with the shaft of the raised rifle, and in the same motion rammed the metal buckle atop his hat squarely into Boy's face. Boy dropped the axe, but grabbed the attacker's shoulders to balance on. The pair stumbled back and forth. Then Comareiro joined the dance. He thrust his short sword into the man's wrist, sending the rifle and knife to the ground also. Then Boy lunged forwards, using his superior weight to tip the attacker to the ground. Boy swiped the axe back up and was about to split the man in two when Toomus swung the rifle in front of the blade.
Wait, don't kill him, he said.
What? Boy said, preparing another blow but hesitating. Comareiro had his blade at the attacker's throat.
It's you, Huntsman, ain't it?
Toomus asked.
Yeah. Wouldn't normally go 3-on-1, butter, so don't judge me here,
the man said.
A friend come to satisfy the kotay,
Comareiro said.
Something like that. Huntsman, you churned up vacuum head!
With this, Toomus threw the rifle away and punched Huntsman very hard in the face. That was the last Huntsman was to remember of that particular day. He was then taken to the room next to Kerma, 2 pet prisoners. This new guy was, according to Toomus, an old mentor of many a pirate up on Orbital, and an all-round nice guy. Hard to tell that to Staves, who was lying in the so-called medical cave with a bullet hole in his chest.
Not meant to be like that,
was Staves' own comment. The Cosmic People potions made it so his dire injury didn't hurt one bit, but that blood he was losing was actually being used for stuff inside him, so probably best to do something about it. Comareiro and Boy had the grisly job of removing the bullet with a little pair of magnetic tongs, which made Staves laugh and fidget every time it literally touched a nerve. Lady stood in the corner watching, unable to either approach the bed or leave. A queue of animals waited outside the door, with Tokka sitting among them. It was okay in the end, to cut the drama short. But many people were quite miffed at Toomus for locking the attempted murderer in one of the bedrooms. Toomus assured all that once Huntsman came around, he would make it up to them. That remained to be seen. A statement also true of Sharr, who sat in her room throughout all this action. She agreed to come take a look at Staves' injury, but only commented that the cave was probably in need of a deep clean, and left again. It really did appear that she wasn't helping at all, either with the scaria mystery, or with the affairs of the hosts providing all of her blowwork living luxuries. Or was she? We turn now to an incident occurring 1 week after Staves nearly died. Staves was back on his feet and happy as ever, as long as the painkillers kept coming. Winter was over, and the standard forays into the fields kept the team busy, until one night a great howling whined across the mountainside. The animals weren't happy about it, and neither was Holt.
"Scaria outbreak! Everyone up!"
he called among the bedrooms.
"Are you sure? What do we do?"
Lady said as she emerged.
"Gotta stand too. They'll smell us from 10 km away."
"Right. Boy," Lady called, running to the hall. Soon an assembly of scaria busters stood at the head of the passage to the outside world. There was a low brick wall that allowed Staves to rest his thunderbolt gun with its sights aimed down the long approach. Toomus was next to him with pistol outstretched, and behind them stood Boy, Comareiro, Tokka, and a collection of busily sniffing dogs. All was quiet.
"Why'd he send us out here? I thought they were demons," Boy complained.
"Holt is affected by psychite dreams, like our cave former here," Comareiro said, gesturing to Tokka. He may mistake his own tests for our turn against the wave.
Could you not mention Psychite? Tokka said, leaning on her mining pick. She was actually getting over her forced cold turkey run, bringing up the danger of restoring her outgoing, insufferably delivered charms. Handily, she spent most of her time with Sharr these days, and besides, if you can get used to living without Psychite, you can get used to living with Tokka. The mysterious Sharr actually came traipsing down to the battle lineup with a load of metal parts hung over her shoulders with blowwork pipes. Scaria lets them smell you. You should have all stayed inside, she said. But since we're in for a rough one, I have a present. Sharr slid over the wall and threw her cargo to the ground. Then she started clicking bits and pieces together, quickly building a waist-high, three-legged, revolving tube dancer. She slung a thick pipe over the wall, then climbed up and over it with no effort at all. The tube dancer buzzed to life and started moving its tube back and forth. This tube was mounted on top of the legs, like a nose. It was, if you want to know the truth, a gun. Don't say I don't help you, Sharr said, peering over the tall wall again. How? What? Boy attempted to begin, but Sharr dropped down and disappeared. She knows what she's doing, Tokka assured them all. Just make sure you don't stand in front of it. Which way is its front, Bada? Toomus asked. I don't know, Tokka shrugged. They were about to find out though. There was a barrage of squeals and yelps from down the passage. The tube dancer turned to look that way, then banged out a steady pattern of thunderbolts. It's alive! And it's killing stuff! Staves marvelled. Inspirational to be sure. But what was it killing? Coming up the passage was a dim blur of red and white, growing closer and screechier. It was a swarm of scaria-mad foxes, out for blood. "Tit's right, it's getting way worse," Toomus said, opening up with his pistol. Staves thundered away with his rifle, but most of the swarm broke upon the low wall. The foxes leapt up and snapped at everyone and everything in a crazed rampage. There were bites aplenty, but foxes aren't exactly bulletproof, nor sword-proof, nor mining pick-proof, and they couldn't stand claw to claw with Staves' huskies twice their size. Just as soon as this charge had surprised them, it was over. The tube dancer had 2 dead foxes in front of it and kept shooting at their remains. Toomus vaulted the low wall and pulled the pipes out. The quiet of night returned. "Almost flat," Comareiro said. "And where's that button-out Holt making us fight his enemies out here?" Toomus said. "They are not my enemies, they are the enemies of Redicott," Holt said, limping over to them from a hiding spot behind the walls. "The scaria is the enemy, I should say." "Just weird that it follows you around then." "It's not him," Staves said. "A squirrel tried to kill me, and a raccoon, and there was a big brown cow, and quite a few humans too. I think they were humans. It's the roll-up, isn't it?" Comareiro nodded. "It's gonna get worse then?" Boy asked. "Getting worse by the day," Holt said. "Most towns got the same problem. Gonna be us or them. Got ways to make it them, but we can't let it spread to our animals. That's why we need your woman from the OPA to help us." "Looks like she did, huh?" Boy said, gesturing to the tube dancer. "Kill them all and we die too. Everyone here's known that since the beginning. And only a roll-up to begin anew can prevent it," Comareiro argued. "Maybe you'll get lucky then, or maybe I will," Holt said. Well, that was the end of the drama for another night. But the notion that things were going to get worse was the right one. Sure, you can roll up the mass, whatever form of apocalypse that implied, and maybe when you start over afterwards things would be better. That approach had actually been tried on Redicott before, back when the Tranka, Zospa and Boka tribes were much more like the Tets are now. You might think such a plan didn't work, but actually some of those people from the earliest days of Redicott had lived through the first great roll-up, and now, some 5,000 Redicott years later, they were going to receive a wake-up call.